Welcome to PAB 2011.
Because we're a room full of geeks and nerds, I'll assume that we're all familiar with the movie Princess Bride. Yeah. Yes, and we had some sad news that Peter Falk passed away, the venerable grandfather of the film version. But show of hands, how many people in this room have actually read the book? Yeah, good. So these people know is that the opening line in the book is, "This is my favorite book in all the world, but I've never read it." Because William Goldman is writing it as if he's abridging a much older work by a fictitious author named S. Morgenstern, and that the reason that he's never read it is because his father read it to him when he was a young boy sick in bed, and that's the grandfather figure in the movie. And what he found out years later was that, in fact, his father had left out huge chunks of the original work. All of the kind of dailiness of life, the mundane stuff, traveling from one place to another, packing and unpacking after a voyage, and only left in the good parts. And this he describes as fencing, fighting, torture, poison, true love, hate, revenge, giants, hunters, bad men, good men, beautifulest ladies, snakes, spiders, beasts of all natures and descriptions, pain, death, brave men, coward men, strongest men, chases, escapes, lies, truths, passion, and miracles. So that would certainly be the makings of some pretty exciting stories. And when we look at history, really, that's what history is. History is the good parts version, right? It's the conquests and the discoveries, battles, and the main points in between all of the rest of the dailiness of life. The difficulty with it is that it's a really narrow view of history, right? I mean, the history in your history book, the history that you learn in school, is a very narrow view because it doesn't include all of you, right? And the thing is with, we're taught in school, they didn't talk much about what Napoleon had for breakfast at Waterloo, but we're all familiar with the events and the outcome of the battle that followed. And it'd be severely preaching to the choir to think that I should be telling you all that you should record the good parts of your lives, because that's why we're here, right? Because you're bloggers and podcasters and videologizers, whatever you call yourself. And we're passionate about things, and so we want to record it and pass it on to the world. And as Todd Maffin was saying the other day on the buffet, the barrier to entry is so low because now you can get near broadcast quality audio and high definition video right on your smartphone, which most everyone in this room has on the side of their belt. But I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen of the PAB jury, that there are people very close to you that not only are not having their stories told, but those stories are disappearing altogether, forever. And unless we take steps to record those stories, they're going to be lost from history. One word in bold letters, and most of you are going, "Hey, it's palindrome." But the word is, I know the room. It's Ada. And Ada is also the name of my great-grandmother. She was born in 1883 during the reign of Queen Victoria and lived to be 95 years old. Up until she was 93, she never walked with a cane, never wore eyeglasses, and every day of the summer would walk from where she lived near St. Mary's University in Halifax down to the Northwest Arm to the Wag-Waltic Club and go swimming. She gave birth to 15 children. When she was 90, there was a family gathering of her 97 direct descendants. The influence of this woman can be felt in communities and industries across Canada and in many countries around the world. And yet, this is the only known recording of her voice, telling her stories in her own words. And it's a miracle that this exists at all. First of all, it's digitized. When my grandmother, one of Ada's daughters, when Ada was about 91, so it was a year after this photograph was taken, she sat down with her and had a conversation and recorded it. I can only assume it was a reel-to-reel because there's a bit of a slapback echo on the recording. At some point, it would then have had to have been transferred onto cassette tape, because that cassette tape ended up accidentally in a box of tapes that was sold at a yard sale. And the real miracle is that the person who bought the box of tapes realized that this had significance to a family and tried to track down who it belonged to. And she knew one of Ada's grandnephews who lived near her, and so she returned it to the family. He gave it to his daughter, who was going to the art college, who then was the one that digitized it. She passed it on to my mother, who is the historian of our family, and my mother passed it to me to clean up the audio and make copies. But if any one of the chains, links in that chain were broken, it wouldn't exist. And to have all of those stories disappear, I think it'd just be a crime. And this is just one person, in one family, in one community, right? We all know people like Ada, people who have decades of experiences and stories that will all, and we've heard the stories, we've sometimes even told the stories, but those stories will disappear unless we get them down, get them recorded. So I say not only is the barrier to entry really low for us to do our own thing here, but that we not only have the technology and the know-how, but we have the duty to go into our own families and our own communities and record these stories so that they're not lost. The recording, the conversation that they had, took about an hour. So for an hour of time with your iPhone, you could preserve an entire life, because it's just the good parts, right? It's not 95 years of the whole, every labor pain and that sort of thing. It's just punctuated with these anecdotes. Ada goes through, in about an hour, from the turn of the last century through the war to end all wars, the Halifax explosion, the Roaring Twenties, the Great Depression, World War II, and right up until the date of the recording. And it's an amazing collection of anecdotes and stories. And again, it only took about an hour. So as many people have said here today, they've challenged you to come back next year with something similar to what they've challenged today. Here's my challenge to you, is to find somebody in your family or in your community and and record their stories. Just the good parts.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Thank you.